Hi everyone, this is Ruby Blow of Development Counts, and I wanted to talk a little bit about this week's blog post. Um, I was a little uncertain about the title because I want to talk about a few things, but I think the main thing is that whether it's in my work or in my supervisee's work, I'm seeing more and more or hearing more and more about people who are really struggling with resentment and unhappiness. And I don't just mean people who are kind of struggling with depression. I mean people in their day-to-day lives who really are dissatisfied. And in some cases, I think that because of the work of therapy where we focus on the problem, we unintentionally make the problem bigger or make the problem worse. And I know a few colleagues who've been using my post in some of their groups and in some of their work. And so in honor of those of you, especially the written portion of the blog is going to be really helpful. And what I want to talk about is helping people really develop confidence and self-acceptance. I know a lot of times people hear the term fake it till you make it. And if you've ever tried that, you know how difficult it is. The truth is, sometimes when you're feeling bad, you have to just let yourself feel bad for a little bit, and you have to allow yourself to be really honest, and you need to be in safe situations and safe relationships where you can express that. The problem comes in when people stay there. And when people stay there and get stuck, yeah, thanks, Miko. When people stay there and get stuck, it's often because they are not taking responsibility for the parts of it that they can do something about. And they've gotten a little bit stuck in the idea of, if only this person did this way, then I could have done this the other way. If my boss did this, if my partner did that. And so really focusing externally on something that's beyond your control. We can't control other people. When I used to work with teenagers, I used to do groups with teenagers in high schools, and I used to do this activity with them called Where is the Control? And I would give them a list of things, and we would talk about what is the thing that you have control over. Do you have control over your grades? Do you have control over your younger siblings? Do you have control over the weather? No, that wasn't a trick question. I would ask them those questions to see how they would respond. And the ones who struggle the most with their behavior, the ones who struggle the most with unhappiness, were taking on or thinking that they had control over things they didn't have control over, and they were actually not being empowered about the things that were their own. Like, for example, they thought they had no control over their grades. It was only something that their teachers had control over, right? So they weren't being empowered around what are the things I can do something about. They might not have had control over their parents getting divorced or someone abusing substances in their household, but they did have a choice about what they chose to focus their time, energy, and attention on. And it's the same way with us as adults. I think, unfortunately, we live in a world where increasingly people feel entitled, and they feel that they are owed some version of what they think happiness looks like. And if their life does not look exactly like that version of what they think will make them happy, they can develop resentment and anger towards other people. And so I guess what I'm trying to say more than anything is focus on the things that you have control over. Focus on your health and well-being. Focus on your mindset, your attitude. Focus on being trustworthy so you can develop trustworthy relationships. Don't give your power away to other people by assigning your worth and your worthiness to whether or not they like you, to whether or not they accept you. Many people are hoping for and looking for love, acceptance, career. They're asking for other people to give them something that they maybe would not even grant themselves. And so it's first and foremost really important to have self-acceptance. People can tell when you don't really like who you are. And when you don't like who you are, it's difficult to like other people. You have to learn how to love and accept yourself, faults and all, to own the parts of you that you would rather ignore, to really learn to see yourself in a holistic way. And that's part of what therapists help people to do. But I guess what I want to do is offer some tips, whether you're in therapy or not, to help you begin to look at those blind spots and say, yes, I even love that part of me that sometimes doesn't feel good enough. And when you can love that part of you, then you can recognize the challenges that other people face in just accepting themselves. Most people are not out to get you. They're not out to make you look bad or to be untrustworthy or to let you down. Everyone's just trying to live their own life. And if we can extend that compassion to ourselves, then we can learn to accept ourselves more, accept our mistakes, and we can move on from them instead of dwelling in them, trying to hold on to something to prove that we are right. There's an adage that we say in couples counseling all the time: would you rather be right or would you rather be happy? And many of us don't just choose to be argumentative in relationships to try to prove our rightness. We stay in stuck places or broken places to prove that we are right to be hurt. And I'm suggesting to you that you can cultivate happiness instead, rather than rightness, by accepting and loving yourself where you are, not when you get that right job, not when you find that partner who accepts you, who you have, the perfect emotional intimacy or physical intimacy or whatever it is that you're looking for, or where you get that pay that you're looking for, or when you build this business and everyone is buying your product or your service. All of those things are not going to affirm what's missing inside. And this is why we see very successful people who are still unhappy and still broken and still abusing drugs and alcohol. I was looking at something recently that was talking about why we lost so many of our singers and entertainers, from those of us who are Gen X, from our youth. And a big part of it had to do with substance abuse histories. And I don't know their whole stories. I don't want to talk about people that I didn't know personally. But what I do want to suggest is that we've got to stop covering up the things that feel bad. We have to let them out. We have to air them out, so to speak. And I don't necessarily mean publicly. I mean in a trustworthy situation, so that you're not carrying so much of a burden with you. So that's what I'm writing about this week. Usually what I say in the video is kind of a tip of the iceberg, but I know everyone are not necessarily readers, so I like doing these videos to kind of give people a little bit of insight to things that might support them. To my therapist colleagues, I've noticed that some people are using these, the blog in particular, to help guide discussions. So I'm really honored that people are using it in that way. Happy to serve in that way. If you do want to read the written blog, I always post it on Facebook, but I also share it on my website at developmentcounts.com. And you can sign up to get it in your email, in your inbox, on my homepage. Okay, so bye for now. I'll probably see you guys next week. It takes me about 2 hours, believe it or not, to write my blog post, between writing it and editing it and sending it to my virtual assistant, Leslie, who also watches my videos. Shout out to Leslie. Thank you for everything that you do. Thanks you guys for watching. And yeah, that's it. Bye, everyone.